We appreciate our speakers being here. And given our question, given that we usually have the affirmative go first, I'm willing to, though this is up to the debaters. So G-Man and Jake, if you guys would actually prefer that G-Man goes first, that's totally okay too. It's ultimately up to you guys.
I'm fine with that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem going first at all.
You bet. Well, then the floor is yours, G-Man. Thanks for being here.
All right, and thank you for having me. It's always a blessing to come on here and to be able to talk to your guests. First thing I want to do is I want to dedicate this conversation to my Lord and my Savior, Jesus Christ. Secondly, I like to dedicate this conversation to Matt Dillahunty, because believe it or not, Matt Dillahunty has a lot to do why I actually care about this particular topic. Because Matt Dillahunty was the very first person I ever heard say that he was more moral than God of both the God of the Old and New Testament. So I guess I'll start my my opening statement this way, in this conversation this way. There's usually two different worldviews concerning morality, and it's either you have a subjective worldview or you have an objective worldview. A subjective worldview is usually based on your opinions, and an objective worldview only deals with the facts. It deals with absolute moral absolutes. I'm a person that holds to objective moral values. I deal with absolutes. I believe that for example, it is wrong to lie, it's wrong to steal, it's wrong to murder. I don't necessarily believe that it's wrong in all cases to kill, because there are times when it's necessary. All right. So with that being said, when we're determining whether or not someone is a good person or a bad person or a good person or an evil person, typically we're going by the things that they actually do. Okay, not necessarily who they are, but what they do. If we see somebody going out in society murdering people, we'll say that that person is an immoral person. If we see somebody raping people in society, we'll say that that person is immoral. The thing is, when we're talking about God, I'm sorry, before we get to God, when we're talking about human beings, we're talking about human beings that are under law. The reason why murder is wrong at the end of the day to all of us is because it is unlawful to take someone's life just because, you know, according to your opinion, it's okay or whatever. You know what I mean? It would be unlawful for you to rape somebody. That's why we would think a rapist is a horrible person for doing it. If everybody accepted rape as being okay, you know what I mean, then rape, then you wouldn't call that person a horrible person. But typically that person is under law. The thing is, when it comes to God, he is not under law. My opponent today, Jake, and with this awesome sense of humor today, is going to try to argue that God has done all of these horrendous and horrible things. But my opponent is going to have a tough time today, because he's going to have to show us what law God has violated in order for any of us to come to the conclusion that he's done anything evil. If God has not violated any law to begin with, then what are we really accusing him of at the end of the day? If morality is subjective and based on our own personal opinions, then consider this. Let's say person A decides to murder someone. Person B decides to decides to do something else. Who's right in the situation? How do we determine who's right and who's wrong and whose opinion that we're supposed to act upon? Usually when we're having these kind of conversations, people will appeal to emotion in order to get people to agree with their proposition. Let me just show you just very quickly just how disgusting and immoral human beings are at the end of the day. 5 million Jews getting killed during the Holocaust. 16 million people being killed during World War I. World War II, 2.3 billion people. Vietnam War, 3 to 5 million. Joseph Stalin, if you just count the famine and nothing else, 5.7 million. But altogether, roughly about 75 million, right? Then you got the nuclear bombs that we dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. 146,000 people died when we dropped the bomb on them. What about rape victims? And the average people that are raped every year, and this is just women, we're not counting the men, are well over 300,000 people. What about the abortions? What about weapons of the creation of weapons of mass destruction, school shootings, terrorist attacks, starving people that exist in the world wide. Well, we got rich, wealthy people sitting in their mansions and whatnot. Human beings are disgusting. You can't say that God has done any of these things. But again, let's see what Jake has to say, because I don't want to give him too much. Let's hear what he's got to say. Jake, I know that was funny, man. I know human beings are just disgusting people, and you think that's funny, but let's hear what you got to say, man.
No, I was laughing about the abortions. Okay, so I don't think God has killed anybody since I don't think he exists, obviously. But I'm gonna just grant. Are you surprised? I'm just gonna grant you his existence for the sake of the argument, because it doesn't make sense for me to just I don't know, stop you and argue about the existence of God instead. So we're gonna argue as if there is a God that exists, because it's just more fun for me. So if you, okay, I guess it should start with you think free will is a good thing, right?
You don't have an opening statement? You don't want to just talk for a little while?
No, I'm more interested in a conversation. So do you think and this is how I usually do it. So I'm going to interrupt you from time to time to make clarifying statements. You can interrupt me from time to time if I confuse you. Totally fine with that. Do you think that free will is a good thing? Like, do you think that that's a positive thing?
I think it's a very positive thing, and I think as an atheist, you think it's a double positive thing.
Sure, man. Yeah, I can agree with that. So, so is having free will better than living in a world where no one is allowed to kill each other?
Yes, I believe that free. As a matter of fact,
okay,
that question doesn't even make sense.
Oh, actually, sure it does. Yeah, it does.
Because even if you live in a world with free will, obviously you have the choice between doing good, and you have a choice between doing good or evil.
Yeah,
it's a good question though.
Yeah. And so you would rather live in a world where people had the ability to kill somebody, rather than a world where someone had zero ability to kill somebody, and based only on the fact that one has free will, the one that's able to kill somebody, and the one on the other hand doesn't have free will, so they can't even fathom killing somebody. You'd rather live in
I would like to
world A with free will.
Make a clarifying statement.
Yeah, sure.
A clarifying statement is I'd rather live in a world where I have the ability to choose.
Sure,
I don't
absolutely.
want to be told to live one way. I want to have the ability to choose.
That makes sense. So why do you want to go to heaven then?
I want to go to heaven so I can worship my God and be with him for all of eternity.
Do you have free will in heaven?
In which I will have free will.
You will have free will. So you could kill somebody in heaven.
No, but I'll be able to choose in heaven.
Why wouldn't you be able to kill somebody in heaven?
Because in heaven you can't kill anyone.
Why not? It says in the Bible. Well, it does say in the Bible that you can destroy, that souls can be destroyed. So I mean,
hold on a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Because the misunderstanding here. When you're in heaven, you're a spirit, or just your soul that's in heaven. There is no physical body for you to kill.
Of course
What
not.
definition of death? What definition of death are you using when you're talking about this?
Well, just getting them out of heaven. So let's assume that you can't kill anybody in heaven.
That's not a definition.
No, that's fine. Can you?
I'm sorry. 1 second.
No,
I can interrupt you. There are two different definitions of death. There's
yeah,
physical
sure.
death,
No, I'm fine with that.
and then there's spiritual death. What definition are you using?
I'm fine with us agreeing that you can't kill people in heaven. That's totally fine. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So can you make physical contact with other people in heaven?
Oh, of course you can.
Okay, so would you want, so you have the free will to slap someone in the face in heaven? How about that?
Yeah, if I choose to, yeah, but I'm not going to want to do those things.
But why not?
I'm not going to want to do those things because I willfully submit my will to Almighty God. It is something that we're commanded to do here on earth, as we're going to do in heaven.
Okay, so do you think in heaven you'd be capable of not submitting willfully to God?
I'm not understanding what this got to do with the actual topic at hand.
Well, of course, it has a lot to do with it. So I'm just saying, like, do you think that you could willfully, if you you're in heaven, you die and you live a pious life and you go to heaven, you're rewarded with eternal pleasure in paradise, because you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and you were a good person or whatever you believe that gets you to heaven. So you're in heaven now, just your soul. Do
I'm
you
not
think?
a Catholic. I should probably let you know that.
No, that's fine. So you're not for works, I assume, right? Yeah. So
I'm not a
yeah. So
Catholic.
it's just the belief in God that gets you to heaven, right? Like
Our faith in Jesus Christ.
yeah. Okay. So you have faith in Jesus
It's not
Christ.
a belief in God. It's not a belief in God
Okay.
because
Faith in Jesus Christ.
a lot of atheists wrongly believe that if you believe that God exists, you're going to heaven.
Sure,
That's not the case.
it's faith in Jesus Christ. That's absolutely fine. I'm fine with that. Whatever. So you're there. Do you think once you're there in heaven as your soul, do you think that you could ever willfully choose to opt out? Do you think if you're in heaven for 1,000,000 years, do you think that you could on the 1,000,000th year decide I don't want to worship God anymore? Do you think you could make that decision? Not are you capable of you willing yourself? Are you just like if someone wanted to, could they do it? Do they have the free will to opt out?
Yeah.
They
Actually,
do.
Have you ever heard of an angel called Lucifer?
I have heard of an angel called Lucifer.
Yeah, Lucifer decided that he was no longer going to worship God, decided that he wanted to be worshipped, he wanted to be like the Most High, and he deceived a third of the angels into believing his lie.
This is great. I'm so glad you're going in this direction.
But wait a minute.
Yeah.
We're debating whether or not mankind is more moral than God. Could you please make a point with this?
Oh, I'm absolutely making plenty of points. So are dead people angels?
Are dead people angels? I don't understand what you mean.
Are you an angel if you go to heaven?
No, I won't be an angel.
Okay, so so we know that angels can defect from God, but can you?
I believe it's possible because we have free will.
Okay,
I don't understand what does apostasy or backsliding have to do with whether or not mankind is more moral than God.
Of course not. Why would you? You don't know what's in my head right now. So yeah, you don't know where I'm going. That's fine. I just think it's interesting to lay some baselines down. So you think that there's free will in heaven, which is good. Okay.
You're asking me a lot of questions. I think it's my turn to ask some questions.
You can ask whatever question you want. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, great. So what evil has God done?
Well, so you brought up Lucifer. So Satan, who you believe is Satan, correct? And,
so what evil has God done?
Right. I totally, yeah, I'm getting to it. So, God has control of the universe, correct?
Yes, he has control of the universe.
Okay. So why would he allow a system in which the devil would have any power over people whatsoever? Is that our free will?
Because he has given us free will. You're creating a false dichotomy.
I'm not creating a false dichotomy. I don't think our having free will doesn't necessitate a Satan existing.
I'm not really understanding where you're going with this, but if you're talking about why would a good
you
God
understanding it is not my problem.
Well, here's the thing, Jake. You gotta let me finish here, okay?
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're trying to say that God is evil because he created Lucifer.
No, I just would put it in I would put it in the cons part of the list, in the pro and cons list.
Okay. So you're saying that God is evil because he created Lucifer, or is he evil because he created the devil? Which one?
No, I didn't say he was evil because of it.
Okay, that's what I asked you though. My question for you is what evil has God done? Because obviously you believe that mankind is more moral than God. In order for that to be true, then you got to be able to show this. And all you've been asking me is questions about free will. Explain to me.
I don't think. Wait.
Mankind is more moral than God.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I don't think that our free will necessitates Satan's existence, and I don't think that you would say if Satan didn't exist, we wouldn't have free will. Would you say that? I
don't think this is a debate about free will. I would like to understand.
Free will is definitely important in this, right? Because
I want to know why you believe that mankind is more moral than God. I haven't heard an argument yet. What is your argument?
All right, so I'm making a few arguments, but so would you say that like because you like to use examples like murder and rape and famine and stuff, all man-made atrocities. If you were God, would you I don't know, create hurricanes?
Well, here's the thing. God doesn't create hurricanes.
He created the planet on which systems exist, and he is omniscient, so he knew that creating Earth in the way that he was creating it would, in fact, cause hurricanes, and people would die from them without ever exercising free will whatsoever. So, yes, of course.
I know you told me earlier that you're going to interrupt me, but can you do me a favor and tell me what I was going to say?
No.
No, you can't, right? Okay. So how about I finish? How about I finish what I was going to say?
Absolutely, go for it.
God does not create hurricanes. At least I don't think he does. he created an Earth that has an ecosystem that has hurricanes.
Okay, so I said that.
But and that's what I was going to get to, but you cut me off and then you said it for me.
But surely,
if you wanted me to answer the question, you got to let me answer.
But
if you're not,
that's
then
fine.
I know how this conversation is going to go.
All right,
and I'll just cut you off every 2 seconds.
That's fine. So, wouldn't you say God knew when He made the earth that hurricanes would exist, right?
Yes, He did. Why are hurricanes evil?
Are hurricanes evil, or is allowing people to die evil? Like if you were standing on one side of the bridge, right? One side of a bridge, and you saw people on the other side of the bridge, and all you had to do was walk across that bridge and hold people by the hand and bring them to your side of the bridge to save them, would you do so? Probably.
Here's the thing. That's a hypothetical scenario.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I would have to know all of the ins and outs of the scenario. All I know is this. It sounds like you're saying that because God allows people to die, that makes them evil. Is that true?
Well, I'm asking if you personally would make a world in which hurricanes exist.
Yes, I would. Do you understand why hurricanes are necessary?
Why are hurricanes necessary?
Hurricanes are necessary so our ecosystem can do the things that it's doing.
Okay, so do you
know how
wait,
hurricanes are
hold on.
formed?
No, absolutely.
It is because of no. Let me finish.
I mean, you can go ahead, but you're gonna.
Hurricanes are formed because of pressure,
sure,
and because of heat, and because of various different things that goes on in our ecosystem.
Yep,
Hold on a minute.
Are.
The various things that go in our ecosystem. Okay. Now here's the thing. Now you're trying to. Our debate is whether or not man is more moral than God.
And you're a man, right?
And right now, it sounds like you're saying that because God allows hurricanes, that makes him immoral. And I would like a straight answer from you. It's a simple yes or no. Are you saying that God is immoral because he creates hurricanes? Because if you don't say yes or no, then I'm just going to assume that's what you're saying.
He's more immoral than me, and I am a man, and this is the point of the discussion. So, here's the question again, then. Okay, so do you think God is so uncreative that he couldn't create a world in which the ecosystem didn't need hurricanes to operate properly?
Earlier, you said that God didn't exist.
Yeah, and I said for the sake of argument, I'm going to grant you his existence.
In order to have this conversation, you got to let me finish. If you're not going to let me finish, then when you look back at this later, you're going to see yourself debating with yourself. I know you're here for the giggles and the laughs, and you're not being serious.
What?
But don't worry.
I'll
get to my line of questioning soon. And then you'll understand how it feels.
Right.
But anyway, tell me something. You believe in the theory of evolution, and you believe that by that process, that's how we have everything that goes on in our ecosystem, right?
Sure.
That's what you believe, right? Tell me something. Would you believe that Mother Nature would be cruel for creating hurricanes and tornadoes and things like that?
You mean when you say Mother Nature? You mean
when I say Mother Nature, you know, that God that you worship in the sense that you believe in natural selection, speciation, and you believe in Big Bang and all that stuff and whatnot. You believe
Big Bang isn't related to evolution, but yeah.
Yes, it is. It's called cosmic evolution. What are you talking about?
Cosmic evolution isn't a thing, Kent Hovind. What?
Yes, it is a thing. So anyway, let's get back to it now. Earlier in my opening statement, I mentioned that the Nazis killed 5 million Jews.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that in World War II, 2.3 billion people died. Who killed those people? According to your worldview, who killed them?
Who killed people? Killed people?
Who killed 2.3 billion people in World War II, according to your worldview?
People?
Human beings murdered 2.3 billion people who are committing abortion.
Okay, I think abortions are fucking great, so that's not a good one. You should go on to the next one.
Okay. So you're saying that? Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. You're saying that human beings killed 2.3 billion people in World War II.
Yeah.
You're saying that human beings are responsible for killing unborn babies on a regular basis. You, as a human being, said that killing unborn babies is great.
Yep.
So tell me something. What about the school shootings? You think that's great too?
No.
Okay, we know atheists are the ones that's going and doing these things.
We do.
All right. So tell me something. What about Joseph Stalin when he caused a famine in his own country and killed 5.7 million people? You can laugh it up, but I know what the debate topic is. You claim that God
Thanks for following me,
immoral,
bro.
and that human beings are more moral than God. Yet,
Yes.
out of your own mouth, you're admitting that human beings are responsible for the deaths of 2.3 billion people in World War II.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
let's get serious here for a moment.
yeah, absolutely.
You're talking about free will. You're talking about the creation
Yeah.
of Satan.
Hey,
and all these
G-Man,
characters that you think is
G-Man, my
fictional.
friend. Hey, calm the fuck down, boyo.
I am all right, but you've been interrupting me this entire time.
Yeah, but
And I actually want to talk about the topic.
Okay.
So the point of the matter is, how can you sit there and say,
hey, I'm talking about the topic, okay? I am talking about the topic. You just,
and I
your
would
brain
appreciate
can't handle it.
Stop
So
interrupting me.
I'm
would appreciate
definitely
if you
gonna
stop
fucking
interrupting
interrupt
me.
you right now, and here's why, okay? Here's the reason, because you didn't even answer the question that I asked you, dude.
You've been
All you
asking
did
me
was
a
you're like,
million
no,
questions.
no, I
You've
wanna
been
go
dominating
on.
the conversation.
Here's
You've
the
been
thing. I'll
dominating
answer.
the conversation.
Okay, one
You've
second.
been
I'm
dominating-
sorry.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so
What we'll do is
Here's
if
the-
Jake wants to ask a question, and then G-Man, if you want to give an
Answer the
answer
question.
and then ask a return question, you can definitely do that.
actual question. So
And Jim, I'm making a request, Jim,
I'll-
that when I ask him a question, that I'm allowed to finish the question and that he has to answer it.
Sure,
Okay.
I'll answer any of your questions. So I'm going to answer this last question first that you asked, which is, can you believe that humans are more moral for killing 2 billion people over God? Yeah, and that means the bar for God is super fucking low. That's how bad this fucking entity is when you say, "Oh, how can you choose men over God?" Yeah, I know. That's how low the fucking bar is right now. That's what we got to beat. I only got to beat that. That ain't shit. So, here's the question that you didn't answer, okay? Do you not think that God is creative enough to come up with a system, a planet in which not only do you not need hurricanes for the ecosystem to function, do you think he's so not creative, this God that created the universe, he's so uncreative and uninspired and unintelligent that he couldn't create a world in which he created people that weren't capable or didn't want to, would never have a need or a desire to kill one another or to harm each other in any way? Wouldn't that be a world that has a little more creativity, a little more thought put into it? Or do you think that there's something virtuous? Do you think that
I would like to answer your question.
Well,
you're asking me like 4 different questions.
No,
Which
that was
you want
one
me to answer?
question. That was one question.
Okay, great. So you want to know about the creativity about creating people that don't want to kill themselves? That want
Yeah,
to kill
wouldn't you
other
think
people,
wouldn't you
right?
think it'd be a little bit more inspired if God created a world in which people didn't ever have the desire to kill one another? And do you think that it's virtuous that he ended up creating us in a situation where we do desire killing once in a while? Like, do you think that's a good thing?
I'm going to answer your question, but I want to thank you for this debate, man. I really needed this, man, because I was having a bad day until I got in this room. Thank you for that question. In Genesis chapter 1 and 2, can you show me anybody dying in Genesis 1 or 2?
In Genesis 1 or 2.
Yeah, show me somebody dying.
Uh,
Oh, that's like you read the Bible before. My bad. Should I read it for you? Because the very
No.
fact that you're even asking me a question like that
Yeah.
shows you read the first 2 chapters of Genesis. When
No.
God finished his creation, I'm trying to answer your question.
Yeah, no. It's the Adam and Eve shit, and they
I
get
am
tempted.
trying
Yeah.
to answer the question because I'm next.
Okay, go
You
for
asked
it.
your question. So let me answer the question. In Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2,
Mhm.
after God finished creating everything,
Yep.
he called his creation good.
Mhm.
We don't see murder. We don't see rape. We don't see
Yep.
catastrophes. You want to know why those things exist? Because mankind decided that they wanted to be their own little deity.
Do we have to do the thing?
They got-
Oh God.
Dude.
Oh, no. Oh,
Can
now
I
we gotta-
please
Now we
finish?
gotta argue about
Can I
Adam
please
and
finish?
Eve.
Can I please
Oh,
finish?
jeez. Okay.
Okay, so we're not going to be respectful in this room today.
I mean, you're yelling.
You asked me a question and you don't want me to answer the question.
I don't want you to
That's
yell.
weak for an atheist. That is weak for. You got to shut up to let me talk then, and I won't have to yell. That's
What?
weak for an atheist.
You're yelling at me, and I'm not
Okay.
saying anything back,
So-
man.
So the bottom line is,
Much
we
better.
don't see murder, we don't see rape, we don't see any of these things going on
Yeah.
in Genesis chapter 1 or 2. Okay.
Right,
So
until
God
they
did
eat
create a
of the
world.
fruit of the knowledge of
Dude,
good.
let me finish.
The
let me finish.
The fruit of the knowledge of good and
Let me
evil.
Oh my God.
I don't
Jim,
want to
can
listen to
you
your
let me-
fucking
can
sermon,
you let me
dude.
finish?
We both know
Okay.
it. I do a Bible study.
Let's just
I
let's
finished.
just for the audience. Let's if you want to let G-Man finish, just for the audience in case it's new to them.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's skip forward
Thank
though
you.
past the sermon shit.
Thank you. So I'm gonna finish saying what I have to say.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Bottom line is, in Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2, God created a world in which he called good. There was no murder, there was no rape, there was none of these things going on. The man's question was, how come God wasn't creative enough to create a world where these things didn't exist?
Yeah.
And yet he can read Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2 where these things didn't exist. Now it's my turn to ask a question.
Sure.
I noticed that you got all these opinions about God and whatnot regarding his morality.
Yep.
Before we go any further in this conversation, what is the moral basis that you are using to come to the conclusion that God is immoral or that you're a moral person? What is your basis? And do not run from this question. Answer it.
What's my moral basis?
Yes, what is it?
Relative morality.
So you believe that your own personal opinion counts as you being able to determine whether or not something is right or wrong.
In your own opening statement, you agreed to relative morality when you started talking, and you were like, you know, if a bunch of people agreed that rape was okay, they'd just go on raping. That's relative morality, right? So, relative to my morality, your God sounds like a piece of shit. So, as far as he wasn't creative enough to create a world in which there wasn't suffering, he wasn't, because he did. And do you know why? Do you know why? So he created those first people.
The question I asked you, because I didn't say what you got to say. I don't want to interrupt you. I'm not you. I have manners. Go ahead.
I'm very proud of you. So he created a world in which he created two people, Adam and Eve, in Genesis 1 and 2 that you're mentioning, right? And he said that they were perfect and they were never going to die, right? And they were going to live life eternal in the Garden of Eden and shit like that. And then, because... What do you mean, what? Are you going to...
I never said none of that nonsense. You
what?
God. Oh.
What nonsense? What are you talking about?
Go to Genesis chapter 3, and he told them, I'm sorry, not in Genesis 3, he told them in Genesis 1 and 2 that if they ate the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that they would surely die.
Right.
He never told them that they wouldn't die. You just lied again. And all you've been doing in this room since you got here.
Wait. Hold on. Are you wait. No, I've talked to like millions of Christians. Like, is this so you think that Adam and Eve would have died if they didn't eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil?
This is what the Bible says.
No. I want to know what you think.
I am trying to answer the question, dude.
I want to know what
you
think.
Don't my answer. I'm just gonna say and be quiet and listen to you talk to yourself.
That's fine.
You lost this debate already, dude. You don't even know it. So, anyways, let's get into this, okay? So, if Adam and Eve never ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they also had the right to eat from the tree of life. So, yes, they would have lived forever.
Okay, that's what I said. So I'm not lying.
Let me finish. But God also told Adam and Eve that if they ate from the tree that was in the middle of the garden, that they would surely die.
Yep, he did.
I think I'm in a room with the bottom of the barrel, man, because you don't even know what Genesis says.
Yeah, I do. I read it.
You did act like it then.
I do a Bible study. So when he says if you eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will surely die. Correct? Yes?
You said that they would surely die.
Right. Okay. The knowledge of good and evil. So do you think that they had the knowledge of good and evil before they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil?
What does that got to do?
Did you mute yourself? Are you so fucking screechy and triggered that you muted yourself?
We lost you, G-Man. I can't hear you.
Oh, what a shame. So I'm just going to keep talking until he comes back because he can't figure out his goddamn shit.
Hold on 1 second. I'll let you give a response,
so
Jake.
Easy.
I just don't want to lose G-Man. G-Man, I don't know if you're able to hear us.
Okay, I can hear you. Hold on.
Okay, I'm going to give...
I don't know what happened. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to give Jake a chance to respond to what you were saying, and then we can come back to you, G-Man.
Okay, so how can you have the knowledge of good and evil before you eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that grants them the knowledge of good and evil?
I don't understand your question. I really don't understand your question.
Okay, did Adam and Eve have the knowledge of good and evil before they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil?
Well, here's the thing. I believe that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil represents. Well, here's the thing. Regarding the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, Adam and Eve knew to a certain degree that they should not have eaten from the tree. I would consider that good in Revelation that we would get later on. Okay? But I'm still not understanding what the heck does that got to do with whether or not man is more moral than God?
Are you okay?
I'm perfectly fine.
You
We're
yell a
debating
lot.
whether or not we are debating whether or not
Why
God
you
is
got-
more moral than man.
Yeah.
You're arguing for
Yeah.
subjective morality. I'm arguing
No.
for objective morality.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a room with a 2-year-old.
That's fine.
Do you understand what we're
Wait.
debating today?
That's a good idea. Do you think that a 2-year-old has a good grasp on morality? And do you think if you said, "Hey, don't touch this," do you think that child should be damned to hell if they do touch this?
This is what I believe. I believe that mankind
All right.
is guilty of some of the worst atrocities in human history,
Okay.
and God isn't guilty of nothing, because God
Wait,
is
wait,
not
wait.
under. Because
I have a
God.
question.
Hold on a minute.
Okay.
You are arguing.
Yeah.
You are arguing from a subjective moral
Yes,
view.
I am.
What God can say to you in this matter is
Yeah.
this: God believes that what He's doing is okay.
Ramble was
You
just
believe
a
what He's
ramble.
doing is wrong. Who's right in this situation, and how do we know
Me.
this? You have to have an objective moral value. You have to have a absolute in order to look at. In
All
order
right.
to say whether.
All right,
somebody
fine.
does something.
My morality
You have-
is objective.
you have provided that.
My morality is
Your what?
objective. My morality is objective then.
Okay, so your morality is objective then.
Yep.
Okay, so what absolute moral laws are you following? That is right all the time and is wrong all the time.
Don't
under
be a-
every scenario all the time.
Yeah, sure. Don't be a cunt.
Okay, so you're saying that okay, so
Yep, that's
what do you
good.
mean by that?
Well, I
So
mean,
what do you mean by that?
Like,
'Cause you're being one today. You're being one right now.
oh,
So you
Okay.
can't tell me that that's wrong all the time and then
Okay,
actually
G-Man.
do it.
no, I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
care, Jim. It's fine.
Gotta
Fuck them. I don't care.
gotta keep it on track. So
So here's
I am keeping it on track. He doesn't have any arguments on why God is immoral. He
absolutely
isn't
I do.
making any sense.
Absolutely I do.
What are your arguments? Spell it out.
we're gonna give Jake a chance to respond before you said what you said. So Jake, the floor is yours if you want to give a chance, and then
Yeah,
we'll come back to
And
you.
by the way, I didn't cuss. He cussed. He said that
Well,
T word,
yeah.
not me.
I would never call you a cunt, G-man. You're a good fella. So
You said that. I never said that. You said that.
right. So anyway,
Uh,
sorry, Jim. So moving forward, so the idea here is that if you wouldn't tell a 2-year-old, if you wouldn't torture a 2-year-old in hell for doing the wrong thing, then I don't know how you can be very comfortable with an entity torturing two people with the intellect of like an infant for eternity over doing things that they have no control over, right? Because if they don't have the knowledge of good and evil, then they don't know what's good and bad. They could be told, sure, but how are they going to know? They could just take things on faith, right? Or they could know. And the fact that God made these two humans, and he's omniscient, and he knew when he created Adam and Eve that they would eventually eat the knowledge of good and evil. And instead of, like, if you had a kid, right? And you knew, you have omniscience, that if you put a gun on the counter, that kid would pick the gun up and shoot themselves in the head. And you didn't, because you had the perfect foreknowledge of this, if you don't take the gun off the counter and keep it away from the kid, and the kid does still kill themselves on accident, you're the bad guy, not the kid. The kid doesn't get punished for making a mistake because they're too ignorant to understand the implications of shooting a gun at their face. But you, an adult, the responsible one that put the gun there in the first place, you're responsible for that. You would be put in prison, and rightfully so, for being so negligent around that child. So how is it different?
Okay, and I got some of that.
I didn't get all of that because
Jesus
this Bluetooth
Christ,
going
of course
in
not.
and out.
Do you want me to repeat it?
So just give me a second here. Hold on. Let me do it with my audio here real quick. Hold on one sec. Hold on.
He always misses me every
All right.
time.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Turn the Bluetooth off. Hold on. 'Cause I didn't.
In the meantime, I will quick mention that if you have a question, feel free to fire it into the live chat. I will pull those questions out, put them into a list, and then we will go
All
over
right.
as many as we can.
So
during
you
each-
didn't hear my question.
All
Do you
right.
want me to repeat it to you?
All right. So I'm going to address the 2-year-old question and the
Please.
common question regarding about God's omniscience and how he knew these things was going to
Okay,
happen.
but
before.
real quick, I want to make sure you heard the question. Did you hear it okay?
I heard the question regarding the 2-year-old.
Okay, so I'm just going to reiterate it because you had audio issues,
You
okay?
got 2 questions you're asking. You don't know how to ask one question. You asking me
No,
2,
it's
3,
the,
4,
it's
5
the
questions.
same exact question.
You call
So,
that water hosing.
no, I'll
You
just
call
ask...
that water hosing when you try to ask like multiple questions when you know I'm not going to remember all of that.
No.
So how about this?
So
Ask
how
me
about I just
one
remind you?
question and I'll answer it.
Absolutely. I'll remind you of the question, and then you can answer. So that way...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so go for it. So if you leave a gun on a coffee table and a kid walks up and shoots themselves with it on accident, like 3 years old. They don't know what guns are. They've been told don't touch that gun, but they still end up touching the gun and shooting themselves with it. You can't put that on the kid because they were ignorant of what guns do, right? You said if you pick that gun up, you're gonna die.
I want to answer the question. I understand the question.
How are you any different from God in that scenario? God literally puts a gun in the middle of the garden. He puts a gun in the garden to damn, but it's like a hell gun. It damns you to hell forever. How is that moral?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. First of all, I want to get to the very first question regarding a 2-year-old.
That's the same question.
Regarding the 2-year-old, nowhere in Scripture does it say that a 2-year-old is thrown in hell. There is something in the Old Testament law called the age of accountability, in which at the age of 7, that is when a child is actually held accountable for the things that they've done.
It's a metaphor.
So, sir, you don't do Bible study. That's number one. Number two, regarding your question about God's omniscience, that has nothing to do with the topic whatsoever. Tell me something. Who made the person pick up the gun and shoot the person?
Who? What? In my example, the kid.
Why would God create a scenario where he puts a gun somewhere so somebody can go pick up the gun and actually murder someone? Wouldn't a God who's more intelligent than that not put a gun there so that the person couldn't commit it to begin with?
Right. That's my whole point.
Let me finish. I'm
What?
not done, you moron. Let me finish. Okay.
Why do you
Who
get
made
to
the
wait?
person pick up the gun?
Why do you get to?
Who made the person pick up the gun?
G-Man, you have to just try to refrain from name calling.
Jim. I understand that, Jim. But the dude won't let me finish my statement.
But you made
This
my.
is not a debate if he's allowed to constantly interrupt me like this.
You made my
If
point.
you, I know, but if
you
you,
don't do that when Ken Hovind's on here,
if-
you don't do that when nobody else is on here. He needs to be muted. Don't tell me to stop if nobody's going to stop him.
all you have to do,
I'm
G-Man,
interrupting
is
you.
if you just say, "Hey, Jake, you're interrupting me again,"
He's
and if
been
you
doing that the whole time, Jim.
okay, all you have to do is if I don't catch it, and I'm sorry if it happened and I didn't, but all you have to do is just say, "Jake, you're interrupting me," and just keep repeating it, and the audience will see that. So, G-Man, if you want to keep moving forward with what you're saying, just want to keep this from blowing over into a total dumpster
I
fire.
can do that. Yeah, I can totally do that. But like I said, I would greatly appreciate it if I'm allowed to finish. Because if he's not going to allow me to finish, number one, this is not a debate. And number two, nobody's going to know what my position is. I can ask the audience right now what my position is. And if I don't get to finish, they're going to say, well, G-Man never got a chance to finish. So how are they supposed to know what I'm going to say?
The floor is yours, G-Man. Like we're
Okay,
definitely
great.
listening.
So in his hypothetical scenario, yes, God created the gun. God put it there. And his question is why would God create the gun and put it there to begin with? All right. My question is this: who forced the person to pick up the gun to shoot somebody else? It was the human being's own decision to do that. Okay, and he doesn't want to acknowledge that. That has nothing to do with the debate at hand. When we're talking about morality and we're talking about whether or not person A is moral versus person B, we have to talk about what they've done or have not done.
Excuse me.
All right. And what he's doing is he's taking arguments that are taken out of proportion. I'm sorry, arguments for the existence of God, and is taking them out of proportion in this debate. He's not on topic. We're supposed to be discussing whether or not God is moral or not.
We are.
And again, he's ignoring my argument that I made earlier. He hasn't even addressed the fact that human beings are responsible for killing 2.3 billion people in World War II. He hasn't even come up with anything close to what God has done in the Bible that would be quote unquote worse. Well, unless he approves of 2.3 people being killed.
Are we?
That's the vibe I'm getting.
Okay. Well, let's switch over to Jake.
Okay. So you got my entire question wrong. You weren't listening at all, and I never said anyone picked up the gun and shot somebody else. Okay. So it was a metaphor for Adam and Eve, because Adam and Eve ate the fruit and did it to themselves, not to each other, not to anyone else. This isn't Cain and Abel. We're talking about Adam and Eve. And this is an illustrative idea on how immoral God is. God put the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the garden, the gun on the coffee table. He had Adam and Eve, who didn't fully understand good and evil because they hadn't eaten of the tree yet, a child near a gun. He told them not to touch it, okay, telling a child not to touch the gun, they still ate from it anyway because they didn't have full understanding of the implications of it. Same thing with a child that picks up a gun off a coffee table on accident. Whose fault is it if a if a parent has their child kill themselves with a gun on accident because the parent left the gun on the coffee table? It's the parent's fault. In the same way that it's God's fault that they ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Because he made the knowledge of good and evil a fucking opt-in, like an idiot. Why wouldn't he just... Why would the most intelligent being in the universe give the option of knowledge of good and evil and still expect them to have foreknowledge of that?
I would like to answer that.
Sure.
I'd like to answer that with a question and then a response. My question is how does God go about teaching mankind? I'm sorry, teaching the angels rather, or showing the angels at that particular time on why mankind actually loves God? In 1 John chapter 5 verse 3, the Bible says that for this is, and pay attention, Jake, because you don't know your Bible at all. All right. In 1 John chapter 5 verse 3, it says, "For this is the love of God, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous." Okay. The way that we show that we love God is by obeying Him.
Yep.
So God did put the tree there as a way to show that mankind was going to be obedient to Him and that they love Him. Stop lying to me that you read the Bible, dude. I can go to evilbible.com and get the same arguments that you're using right now.
I mean, do you want to go to my YouTube channel where I have like 200 episodes on reading the Bible out loud?
Yeah, and I actually I probably have more episodes of me studying the Bible.
I mean,
not just reading.
That's great. I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't be a lie for me to say that. So anyway, studying
the Bible and reading it is two different things, sir.
Sure, man. So so we're again.
I know it's funny.
Yeah, it's super funny because you're ignoring me.
Can you address what I just said, though?
I don't even remember what you just said because you said about 3 different things.
In 1 John chapter 5 verse 3, it says, "But this is the love of God."
Yeah. Okay.
This is the love of God that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it actually says.
Okay.
So the way that we demonstrate our love towards God, sir, listen to me. You're not even allowing me to finish.
You're already finished. I understood the question.
And this is not a debate. This is not a debate. If you ain't gonna let me finish. Stop it.
I said I understood the question. I remembered the question that you asked.
Okay, so I would like for you to answer it.
I'm going to. You have to shut the fuck up. Are you ready?
Then answer the question and stop interrupting me.
You got you have to literally just not open your mouth and stop yelling, and I can.
My God.
Just so we have the question.
This guy has spoken like 3 times the amount of words that I've spoken in this debate.
I think we're gonna go back and do a timer and see who talks more.
Just for the audience, G-Man, can you say the question one last time, and then we'll let Jake answer it?
3 times? Okay.
Like a question like, what do you think of XYZ? Like without because I think they have a general idea of what the setup was, but just the question that you deduced or want to use from your setup. Okay,
so my answer for that was, because he asked me why did God put the tree there to begin with as a way to set Adam and Eve up to fail, and then this Luciferians tried to argue that God was responsible for the fall, and that's not the case. Again, in 1 John chapter 5 verse 3, the Bible says, "For this is the love of God, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous." The tree was put there to demonstrate that we love God every single time we decided not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And he's ignoring that. What he's doing is he's taking my answers and then jumping to the next question instead of dealing with what he's hearing.
I was going to answer the question, but Jim let you ask it for the 3rd time. So, I mean, like, do you want me to answer the question or what?
I'm still not... I think you have a... Can you rephrase the question for us? Frankly, I'm still, for some reason, maybe it's just because my attention is divided.
I can do it. Here's the question he's asking. If they... So in John, right? You're quoting John? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John?
I'm quoting 1 John. I mentioned that 3 times. You're not listening.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So this is for Jim. Okay, so quoting John saying that we hold up God's commandments, and that's a way we show we love Him. When He tells us to do things, we should do them to show that we worship God. No, that's not it.
Not what I said.
Jesus fucking Christ, my guy. All right, I'm just going to go forward anyway. So, would you say that John has the benefit of being of having the knowledge of good and evil?
That's irrelevant to the conversation.
It's not fucking irrelevant.
God put the tree. That is irrelevant.
It's 100%
That is irrelevant
irrelevant.
to the question.
Okay,
That is irrelevant.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. So it's not irrelevant to the question because
So, you know what? This ain't a debate. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mute my microphone. I'm going to let you talk, dude, because you're the only person that's debating here. You don't want to hear what I got to say. I'm just going to mute.
Okay, so here's the thing. So if you don't have the knowledge of good and evil, you don't have the capacity to take moral actions or make moral prescriptions or worry about morality at all. If you don't understand morality, you can't enact it. You can't enact moral actions. You can accidentally do something that's moral, like help somebody. You can also accidentally do something that we consider immoral by maybe hurting somebody. But if you don't know what's moral or immoral, and then you're told to do a thing, and you don't do it, you didn't know you were doing something wrong. You didn't betray anything if you don't have the capacity to understand the thing. If you have someone that has an emotional or mental instability and they're incapable of
read the Bible. Oh my God. Oh.
I thought you were gonna mute yourself. Can you do that again?
Yeah. Go ahead and continue with your straw man, dude. That's not what I believe as a Christian. But go ahead.
It's not what you believe as a Christian. That's
not what I believe as a Christian. You're killing a straw man right now.
It's
dude.
irrelevant to whether or not you believe as a Christian. I'm saying that as an objectively speaking, if someone doesn't have the
what you're saying is incorrect, and I'm gonna tell you why it's incorrect. God told Adam and Eve.
Let's just hear what if Jake can give a summary in like 2 sentences of what he was saying before we have a response from you, G-Man.
If someone doesn't have the capacity to understand morality, then it's not on them if they do something immoral. When they don't understand, like they don't even understand what they're doing. You can't hold them eternally accountable for something that they have no capability of grasping. Like if someone accidentally does a thing and they don't understand why that's a bad thing, if they have literally, and I know it's hard to understand, it's hard to empathize with, not understanding literally any aspect of morality. They didn't in the story. They didn't have knowledge of good and evil before they ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So they couldn't possibly have this. And this is an illustration on how that makes God immoral. He chose to let them die. He chose then after that to everyone be born in sin. Sin, the concept of being born in sin, is an immoral action. It sets you at a negative. It sets you at a disadvantage.
Oh, you
forever.
said 2 sentences. This guy's speaking a paragraph. 2 sentences, you said. Jim, I think you're being too nice here, dude. Seriously. This guy is just taking full advantage of what you're doing here. But let him keep talking because I guarantee you the body of Christ is laughing at him right now. But go ahead.
The body of Christ? What about the rest of them?
Yeah, so let me answer you now. This is supposed to be a back and forth, dude. Yo, Jim, can we enact 10 minutes apiece, Jim? Please?
10
I want to
minutes?
enact 10 minutes apiece.
How about
If you
we
don't
do
mind.
like maybe 4 or 5 minute closing statements? Is that okay?
Ugh. Okay.
Yeah, when we actually start debating, this debate didn't really start yet. I haven't heard his argument yet. All right. So regarding what I'm saying.
Okay, so so I will set a timer for 4 minutes for closings, then we'll go to Q&A if that's what you'd like, G-Man. Jake, are you okay with that?
That's not what I'm asking. But if you're gonna do it, then go ahead.
I'm fine with whatever Jim wants
10
to do.
minutes
It's
is just kind of long for a closing. That's all.
You wanted to talk
I
for
need 4 minutes. I have no problem with the 4 minutes. I have no problem with it.
Did you want to talk for an uninterrupted 10 minutes? Is that what you're asking for?
This is what I want to do, Jim. I would like to answer some of the statements that he's making. See, this is what he's doing. He's doing a lot of talking. He's being allowed to go on and on and on, but I'm not allowed to answer anything. And when you go back and look at this, you're going to see what I'm talking about.
So
I never even addressed what he said about the garden. He just keep going on and on and on as if what he's saying is biblically true.
So I think that if you just say, "Hey Jake, can I interject? I want to object to something that you're saying. I want to
I've been
make."
doing that the whole time. This guy won't be quiet.
You've been yelling, dude.
I think
No, I'm not. I'm on my phone. This is not my laptop.
You get real emotional and you start yelling, and then you broke your mic, dude.
G-Man, would you like to have a 4 minute closing? Or
I don't need a 4 minute closing. I'd like to correct him for what he said about the book of Genesis. He said, and I quote, that Adam and Eve didn't have the cognitive ability to determine whether or not something was right or wrong. What I wanted to ask him, and I never got an opportunity to do this in here, was this. Did God tell Adam and Eve to not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil?
Yes, he did.
And did he tell them what the consequences was going to be?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
And they didn't have the cognitive ability to understand the implications of those things according to the Bible itself.
I'm not done yet.
Sure.
So God did tell Adam and Eve that if they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that they would die, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Did God give them a job while they were in the Garden of Eden?
To tend the garden.
Yeah, to do what specifically?
In Genesis 1 and 2?
Yes. What was their job to do?
They had to fuck.
They had to replenish the earth, and they had to name all of the animals, right? What does it take in order to do that kind of thing?
It certainly wouldn't engage in any morality.
Answer the question. What would it take? It begins with a T and ends with a G.
T and ends with a G.
They had to think.
Yeah, I didn't say that. Yeah, I didn't say they couldn't think.
They had to name all of the animals.
Yeah.
And they had to tend to the garden. Then they had the job of populating the earth.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
Then
very
they were given
strict missionary sex. I agree.
Then they were given on the real, dude. Just let me finish.
Sure, man.
Okay. Then they were given a law. Okay, and the law was that they can eat from any of the trees in the garden, but if they ate from if they ate from the one in the middle, that they would surely die. What do you call that?
What do you mean? What do I call that?
What do you call that?
I mean, there's lots of things.
I mean, you've been sitting here mocking me and laughing at me all day and whatnot without me actually responding. What do you call that?
What do I call what? What aspect of it that you're asking me?
What do you call God telling Adam and Eve that they can eat from any of the trees in the garden, but the one in the midst they couldn't eat? What do you call that?
The mist. Do you want me to say commandment?
Yeah, he gave them commandments.
Sure.
Okay, and according to you, they didn't understand the commandment.
No, I think they understood
it. Eve herself, wait a minute, hold on a minute. But Eve herself told the serpent in Genesis chapter 3 that in the day that they ate from that tree, that they would surely die.
Yep.
They had some concept of what that word actually meant. All right. So where are you getting this nonsense, sir, saying that they didn't know right from wrong in the Garden of Eden?
So what was the purpose of eating of the knowledge of good and evil then?
Again,
did God lie? Did God lie about what the fruit was?
Let me answer this, okay? When they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they disobeyed God. We see from the totality of Scripture that when you disobey God, it creates distance between us and God. In Ephesians chapter 2, verse 1, it talks about being spiritually dead, being apart from God, how our sin separates us from God.
Sure.
When Adam and Eve ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they were separated from God.
Can I ask you
they didn't have that relationship no more.
Can I ask you?
Spiritual death occurred during that particular time.
Okay.
So, sir, all of the information that you have been giving people regarding the Garden of Eden.
Ask you a question about that?
So, just to make sure that we have a interchange for both sides, because we have limited time yet. If Jake wants to give a response, and then we'll go to Q&A pretty quick.
I wasn't finished.
You're not finished?
Just go ahead and do what you're going to do. I'm certainly going to be responding to this, but go ahead.
Okay, so do you think that Adam and Eve have the knowledge of the scriptures of Ephesians and any biblical scripture whatsoever? Do you think that they
I really think you're putting a straw man, and
No, I'm not. So listen to me. So do you think that from a religious perspective, do you think that Adam and Eve had the philosophical know-how, the philosophical wherewithal that the later prophets in your Bible had at the same time? Like, do you think Adam and Eve were as well equipped to answer these types of questions before they ate of the knowledge of good of the tree of knowledge? Like, do you think they did?
That you're bombarding me with a million questions instead of
That's one question.
This is the answer to the question. Okay, listen to me, Jake.
I'm listening, man. I just wish you would answer a question. You dodge, man. Because
dude, shut up and let me answer your question.
G-Man,
he's so fucking mad, dude. Like, just answer the question that I asked.
I'm not mad. I just want to be able to. I'm not
mad. All right, says the mad guy on the internet. How about
G-Man,
answer the question?
Like, man, I know, I appreciate your passion, but it's like, just, G-Man, are you trolling me? Like,
that's what I'm thinking. Like, are you just fucking in here like memeing? Like,
okay,
is this a joke?
Just okay, well, just 1 second. G-Man, I know you're trolling me, G-Man.
I don't think he is. This is how he is every time I talk to him.
It's just
he gets so upset. Like, don't answer why don't you answer the question? Do you think?
It's like, hold on 1 second. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to. Okay.
Jim, you have the reputation, Jim, of being fair on this show. You know that. I can promise you this. Nobody's going to be saying that today. Because this is not a fair debate, dude.
G-Man, I'm
The only person that's been talking on here has been him.
G-Man,
My
I'm
question is
listen.
posed to me.
All right.
You're interrupting me and you're laughing, and now you're saying I'm trolling?
I have a question.
No, G-Man, listen. It's just that I don't see why you're getting so mad. It's like
Number one, I'm not getting mad. I think my volume might be turned up a little bit too high, and you might be taking some things out of context. I think that's what's going on. And I think number two, either you're not paying attention to what's being said between the two of us, but he's asking me questions, and I'm trying to answer them. Yeah, I might be a little long-winded, but I'm trying to answer the question. And you have not allowed me to do that today.
I have a question. I have a question for G-Man. Are you willing to bet $100 that you spoke less than I did today?
I'm willing to bet, let me see how much I got on me. I'm willing to bet $800 that I was not allowed to finish a statement today.
All right. If
that's what I'm willing to bet.
All right.
And sir,
here we go.
But wait a minute, I got a clarifier on that. Okay? You have to delete your YouTube channel if I can prove I was not allowed to finish a statement.
Wait, for $800?
No, I'm serious. I want you to delete I want you to agree in public to delete your YouTube channel when I go review this later, that you dominated this conversation and I was not allowed to say to really say anything in this.
To really say anything?
I want you to agree to delete your YouTube channel so I can prove the atheists are liars like I've been saying for the longest. All you're doing right now is now listen to me. The debate is over. You already lost this thing.
Sure.
But the bottom line is all you're doing right now is proving how immoral the atheist community is because you guys like to ask questions, but you don't want to hear the answers.
Okay. So you will donate $800.
Agree to delete your YouTube channel.
I will delete.
Agree to it.
I will delete my personal YouTube channel.
No, you will delete your Jake and Hugo channel or the one that got 135,000 subscribers. That one I want deleted if I can prove that you did not allow me to finish a statement in here. Agree to it.
The bet was if you talked more than me.
I would like for you to agree to it because you know you're lying. Agree to it.
So do you think I talked more than you today?
No, this is what I think. I think that you asked me questions and you was never really interested in my answers. And when I tried to answer it, you and the moderator was stopping me mid-sentence from me making my sentence.
Okay, so
right? So let's try this again now. Agree to delete your YouTube channel if I can prove it.
Wait, do you think you talked more than me though?
This is what I believe. I believe that I came on this show to debate whether or not man was more moral than God. Okay? I came on this show and you have talked about everything but the actual topic. And you have done a fine job proving that you're not an atheist, that you're a Luciferian.
No, I
don't even know what a Luciferian is, do you? You don't know what a Luciferian is.
Is it a theistic or atheistic Luciferian?
No, a Luciferian is somebody who believes that the devil was in the right in the Garden of Eden and believes that God was in the wrong for putting the tree there, for having the tree there to begin with. You argue like a Luciferian for Luciferianism today, and you failed today to show how God is immoral and man is somehow more moral.
I don't think Satan exists either. But
yes, you do. You just suppress the truth and unrighteousness.
Oh, all right. I mean, or maybe I'm telling the truth, and I don't believe in the thing I don't believe in. Okay, all right. I think you're lying, and you don't believe in Jesus.
Okay, we're gonna.
What's the point? What's the point, man?
So just to move into the Q&A pretty darn quick.
What's the point of that?
So we will move into the. Forgive me, I'm so sorry, guys. Just to respect your time as well, though, we will move into the Q&A. I know that there's more to be said.
No, I'm happy with the Q&A. That's great.
I'm sorry about that. So we will jump in. And by the way, want to let everybody know, we mentioned at the start of the stream, 100% of the super chats are going to go to Alzheimer's research for a cure. And if you want to see the receipt, by the way, email me. Even if it's your first time at the channel, you're like, that's kind of sketchy. Like, how do I know you're really donating it? I'm honestly happy to send you the receipt for our donations. Just shoot me an email. Doesn't matter to me who you are. I'll send the receipt to anybody. I'm going to send it to the debaters just for record keeping. But I'm happy to send it to anybody. So that way you guys know that it's for real. So with that, thanks so much. We have a lot of great questions, and super chats will just have the kind of standard deal where a speaker can reply. Steven Steen, thanks for your super chat. He says, James calls me late at night. I'm married, James. That's true. I forgot that Steven's on the Eastern time zone, so I called him at 10:30 the other night. Sorry about that, Steven. And Stupid Horror Energy, thanks for your super chat. And she says, does God being above the law make him an outlaw that can kill people for trying to prevent accidents? And then she says, 1 Chronicles 13, 9 through 12. So G-Man, you have a chance to respond to that if you'd like.
No, I'm not going to answer no questions today.
I will.
Let's
First
see.
Chronicles 1 through 12.
Just to move, I mean, it's okay if you want to read it, but just to move through as many questions as we can.
Sure, I'll read it. Was it First Chronicles 1 through chapter 1?
13, 9 through 12. I might have said it wrong.
Chapter 13. Oh, I think I just got it wrong. Chapter 13.
13, 9 through 12.
9.
I'll pull it up.
13,
So it says,
9. I can read
and
it.
when they came to the threshing floor of Chidon, Uzzah put out his hand to take hold of the ark, for the oxen stumbled. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and he struck him down because he put out his hand to the ark, and he died there before God. And David was angry because the Lord had spoken out against Uzzah, and that place is called Perez Uzzah to this day. And David was afraid of God that day, and he said, how can I bring the ark of God home to me? So thanks for that super chat and donation to Alzheimer's Research, Sarah, or I should say, Stupid Whore Energy. That's her name, by the way. I didn't make that up. She, we appreciate that. Next up, forgive me, a little scattered. Stupid Whore Energy, thanks for your other donation. She said, whoever looks at a woman, so she's quoting Matthew 5:28. She says, whoever looks at a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart. And then she says, how does this verse not inspire misogyny? So, G-Man, if you want to reply, you can.
No, I'm not going to answer it.
Okay, so that makes women sex objects. It implies that the only time you would look at a woman is to consider a sexual act with that woman, and that obviously demeans women and is misogynistic. Yes.
And G-Man, no response. Yeah, okay. I'm all right, G-Man. So Brian G, thanks for your super chat. He says, here's to the hurricane victims that God of the Bible couldn't or refused to save. So G-Man, any response?
No, I'm not going to respond to none of that.
Surely there's pious people in the path of the hurricane that wouldn't necessarily deserve to be killed by drowning or flooding or have their possessions destroyed.
Actually, Jim, I'd like to make a statement, though, Jim. That has nothing to do with that, though.
Well, I mean, we're kind of in the Q&A, like, and the people, like, are hoping to have a response.
Because, you and I are Christians, okay? Mm-hmm. And they're having a lot of fun talking about the God that I worship. But I got to say this. God didn't cost me my job, and God certainly didn't throw me out in the street. That happened by a bunch of atheists. Just want to put that out there. You can continue. Go ahead.
Those atheists can be bags of shit if you didn't deserve
that was atheists that did that. Atheists believe in mock them, ridicule them in public. Atheists believe that. Atheists are the ones going in our schools shooting people. Atheists are the ones that are responsible for the deaths of 100 million people.
Okay, G-Man. If you're G-Man, if you're not going to respond to any of the questions, we're not going to have statements right now. So next up, thanks for your super chat donation to Alzheimer's Research. Totally appreciate Josiah Hansen. He said, I was having a bad day, and thanks for that donation. We're glad that this seemed to cheer you up. Stupid Whore Energy, she says, why does Jesus call a woman a dog in Matthew 15?
Ooh, we just read that in the Bible study.
G-Man, nothing?
No, I'm not going to answer it.
Because she's poor?
Yeah. Next up, Brian G asks, gives a donation. He said, G-Man definitely was not mad today, in bold letters. True. And G-Man, no response, I'm guessing. Think Club, Adam from Think Club, thanks for your super chat donation to Alzheimer's Research. He says, let G-Man finish his argument. G-Man, do you want to finish your argument?
No, I don't want to say nothing because I'm so going to use this against them later. But that's it. I ain't got nothing else to say.
Gotcha.
I'm the moderator on several YouTube channels. I'll get them later. Go ahead.
Gotcha. Let's see here.
No. You guys are laughing. But
I'm laughing.
During the so-called debate in here, I was asked questions and I was not allowed to answer them. And now you're expecting me to answer questions from people in the audience so I can be interrupted in the middle of it to answer their questions. Are you serious? Go ahead.
Are you mad?
No, I'm not mad, but I'm certainly going to go on my YouTube channel and have something to say about this. But go ahead.
Gotcha. Next up, thanks for your donation, ST. Appreciate that. I'm trying to avoid the ones that look like they're in any way like digs at the debaters because we appreciate them coming on for free. And Drew Nichols, Modern Day Debate, thanks for your kind words. He says, Drew says, Modern Day Debate is a gem of a channel. That means a lot, Drew. He says, more Jake, less G-Man. So G-Man, my guess is you don't want to respond to that. Gotcha. Shannon Q.
There's
Q
more.
face.
There's more of me anyway. G-Man's in better shape.
You've both got tremendous physiques. Next,
Someone clip that, please. That was the best.
so Shannon Q, thanks for your super chat donation to Alzheimer's Research. She said, just because I want to donate. That's very sweet. Shannon, or Q face, as she likes to be called. Shannon Q. Alan Michael, thanks for your super chat donation. Let's see. Oh, it was kind of like he was saying he was enjoying the debate. It's just kind of a bordering on a dig. Let's see. I'm sorry, G-Man. We should treat each other well. Brian Stevens, thanks for that donation. I think he's trying to show you love, G-Man.
Well, I'll respond to that. Check out my YouTube channel when this is over with. I'm going to tell you what I think about what you just said. That's it.
Gotcha. Rowan Yates, thanks for your super chat donation to Alzheimer's Research. G-Man, he says, G-Man, you know that the Nazis primarily identified as Christian, right?
No, I know that the Nazis were occultists and probably atheistic in their beliefs. But I'll probably be laughed at that too, even though I can prove it.
Gotcha. Next up, let's see. I think that I might have made a mistake in the sense that I feel like part of, I know that G-Man, it was a little bit frustrating tonight, is that G-Man, if I am remembering this and I'm so sorry, I have to apologize in like just right now. If it is the case that there was a discrepancy in what I had explained to you guys for format of the debate. So in other words, if you didn't expect an open discussion, that was my fault.
Well,
and
I
I'm
did
sincerely
ask
sorry.
him at the beginning if that was okay.
Okay.
He said yes. So,
Gotcha.
not on you.
I know this. This is the last day I'm debating the comedians here on YouTube. If nobody wants to take these conversations seriously, they won't get to talk to me no more.
I took it.
And this
real
guy's a
seriously.
comedian. He's not an intellectual.
Are you?
I want to talk to an intellectual.
Wait a second. Are you making a base judgment based on my
Sir, you
ridiculous
just
porn
wait until I
profile?
go on my YouTube channel. You haven't heard me say nothing yet. I think you're a joke. That's what I think.
You
And
Okay,
I'm gonna-
well-
think I'm funny?
when I go on my channel.
I don't.
She-
When I can speak uninterrupted. Trust me.
Why would you speak uninterrupted on a format where you agreed to be
Because
interrupted?
You asked me several questions and you
Yeah.
never let me answer them.
I'll let you
That's
answer
why.
whenever you want. You can come on my channel anytime. I'm a little bit bigger. If you want, if you want some exposure every once in a while, you can come
I
on
would like
over.
an opportunity to interrupt you and be able to answer this. I would like an opportunity to interrupt you and answer this.
Sure, you can come on
Alright?
whenever you want, man.
The bottom line is that I was asked several questions.
At Papa
You know
Bird
what?
Jake
Do me a
on
favor,
Twitter.
Jake, just to prove it, Jake.
Yeah.
Give me the 5 answers I gave you in this. Because you asked me about 20 questions in here.
Sure.
Give me 5 answers I gave you in here, word for word.
I'm not gonna do that. We're doing Q&A, dog.
Of course you can't do that because you don't know what I said.
Why
Because
would-
you weren't listening and you interrupting me.
I'm not gonna interrupt Jim. He wants to do Q&A for his channel to help raise money for fucking, like, are we doing hurricane relief or Alzheimer's?
I don't know nothing
It's
about that.
Alzheimer's.
I can show you what he told me in my text. I know what I have on my phone. I know what's said on my phone, and
Yeah.
I know what I requested. This is not
Yeah.
what I requested.
But,
Okay,
but then I
well-
asked you if it was okay if
And
I,
I'm going to show that.
okay,
I assure you of that.
and then I mean just play the clip where I said, hey, is it okay if we have more of a conversation and interrupt each other? And you said yes.
My issue is you did not allow me to answer no questions. You just talked and talked and talked and talked. And when I tried to clarify my statement or tried to try to answer your question, you said you don't want to be preached to. You don't want to hear this and you don't want to hear that.
It was the
Dude, why
third.
ask me a question? Why ask me a question if you don't want an answer?
Okay. Well, but to be fair, like I did give you a chance to explain it. Remember when I said I was like, all right, let's give G-Man a chance. I told Jake, I said, let's give G-Man a chance just for the sake of the audience to be able to hear the Genesis.
And then when I tried to finish,
Twice.
And then when I tried to finish, you interrupted me without even allowing me to finish. You said I was talking too loud. My volume has been turned up loud by you guys. That's the issue with your channel, not with me.
We can't toggle your
All right,
volume.
let's move on to the. We appreciate your donations. Paul Christensen, thanks for your donation. He said, "What is the question you most wanted Jake to answer, G-Man? This is the best forum for it, not slam vids later."
Well, again, I wanted his basis for morality, and I wanted to talk about it. But again, he dominated the conversation. I never really got to ask my questions. But don't worry, I'll have plenty of time to do that later.
I can answer my basis of morality.
You don't have a basis for your morality to judge anybody. What is a basis for your morality as an evolutionist?
I mean, you can frame it however you like, but I think the basis of morality is what helps what helps me and people around me have better lives. Because we're only here for a finite amount of time, and
that's not a basis for morality.
It's definitely my basis for morality. Whether or not you find it valid is irrelevant,
Nobody
right?
operates on opinions except for criminals. Only criminals operate on opinions.
So do you think? Wait. Do you think you can only have? I don't want to have.
Hold on a minute. For example, a rapist thinks it's okay to go rape people.
Why are we thinking?
Are they wrong for doing that?
Yes. Do you know why?
I want to go to your home and blow your head off. Am I wrong for doing that?
You in a video game, you want that. Otherwise,
no. I'm serious.
You're
serious. In my own world, I want to go to your house and I want to blow your head off. How am I wrong for saying it?
Am I being threatened?
No, I'm not. Answer the question, you moron.
Okay, okay, G-Man, seriously, it's like
that's TOS, man.
You refuse to answer questions from the audience, and you're calling the other person a moron. Like, seriously, I'm honestly.
You called me a C word earlier. You didn't say nothing to him.
What? No, I didn't. You said
me a C word on your channel, and you said nothing.
If I remember, G-Man, you asked him what the standard of his morality was.
That was my commandment.
To put it
in, he used a C word to describe it.
I said,
but you said nothing to him.
I said, don't.
I mean, yeah. Frankly, G-Man, if you want to swear all you want, I don't care if you swear.
I don't swear. I didn't say anything like that.
I never said that you did. Like, why?
Wait a minute. You got a problem with me calling him a moron? You're okay with him calling me the C word?
I didn't call you.
He didn't call you the C word. He was saying.
You did.
No,
I didn't do it, and neither did he. Like, nobody.
Oh, he did. Oh, okay. Don't worry about it. When you go watch this again later, contact me. Make sure you call me on the phone.
Yeah, sure, man.
Call me on the
phone. On Twitch. They can clip it right now.
I'm very good about finding those things and letting people hear it for themselves.
G-Man, you basically asked him what his standard for morality was, and he put it in a very succinct way by saying,
"Don't be a C word.
Don't be a C word."
You don't have to say it.
Yeah, but it was okay for him to call me that.
I didn't call you that. I said what? No,
he said that's just what
if I frame it like this? Thou shalt.
You want to know what though?
Thou shalt.
I said, it's all good. I have a computer just like you guys. I'm not worried about it.
Thou shalt not be a cunt.
Let's see.
That's the whole thing.
He did it again, but I can't call him a moron.
But I'm not calling you.
He's not calling you. It's like he's just saying it as a standard of morality.
All right.
So next, we're gonna fly through as many questions as we can. ST, thanks for your donation. They said, G-Man, what is your source for 2 billion dead in World War II? I guess you don't have a response.
He can Google it.
YTTTFG, thanks for your donation. They said, if Adam and Eve had free will and the serpent tricked him, how did they have free will with a distorted worldview if tricked means to distort worldview?
I don't understand the question, and I don't get the relevancy of the actual topic.
Next, Drew Nichols, thanks for your super chat. He said, G-Man, is it possible you could be wrong about the existence of God? You believe it?
No, it's not possible for me to be wrong about the existence of God, but it's definitely possible for me to be wrong that atheists are decent people.
Okay.
Because I don't believe they are.
That's fine. So I figured out how he got that number. World War II was the deadliest military conflict in history. An estimated total of 70 to 85 million people perished, which was about 3% of the 1940 world population. In 1940, the world population was 2.3 billion people.
That's not how I got my information.
But okay. So you think that everybody that exists died in World War II?
That is not how I got my information.
But that was the world population. The world population was 2.
That is not how I got my information.
No problem. Okay, give me
Okay,
one sec.
man. Like, all
Just to
right.
fly through.
You could be.
Just-
It's okay to admit that you got the information wrong. It's okay.
It's
That is not how I got my information.
You said
Not a
Google it,
problem.
so I Googled it. You said that's what?
Dude,
Go.
I'm on my phone. I'm talking about this, and that's not how I got my information.
So
Just-
were there?
Jake,
One
I'm going to
second.
have you for dinner later. I'm just trying to get through this show, dude. That's all I'm trying to
okay.
do.
I don't
We're
think you
gonna
can
try to
eat me.
speed
I'm
through
too
these last.
large
Forgive
for
me,
you.
guys.
I think you're
I'm
dumber
so
than
sorry.
Godless Glenn.
But
Let's continue.
SJ,
I'm sorry, not Godless, but
SJ
Godless Engineer.
okay, SJ Thomas, SJ Thomason, thanks for your super chat donation to Alzheimer's Research. She asked, "Can you ask G-Man if he'll come on my channel to discuss why he believes
No.
in Jesus?"
SJ Tom.
No
SJ.
atheist. I am not
No,
going
no, no,
on
no. SJ.
atheist
No, no, no.
channel.
SJ
No.
Thomason is a Christian.
Oh, SJ Thompson? Yeah, sure. I'll go on
Why
her
don't you
channel,
just
yeah.
shut the fuck up and listen to people every once in a
You know
while,
what?
dude?
Why don't you
Okay,
take
give
your
me
advice
1 second,
and stop
guys.
talking
All
to me
right.
like that?
Fuck you.
1 second.
Like, I don't respect
All right,
you.
You
you
know
guys.
what? You know
All
what?
right,
You know what?
guys.
Like I said,
All
I'm
right.
happy knowing I'm going to heaven, and I'm happy I'm knowing you're gonna burn for all of eternity.
I mean,
Okay.
So have fun with
Does
that.
that
Like,
sound like a moral?
hold on.
Wait. Hold on.
That's
I'd like to
your
ask a
destiny,
question.
dude.
I'd like to ask a question.
Why don't you ask Jim where you're going?
Jim, do you think it's
Why
moral?
don't you ask Jim where
Okay.
you're going when you die?
All right,
Listen,
I'll
I'm
ask
not in the
Jim. Hold on one second.
discussion.
Can I
We're
ask you a
not-
question real quick, Jim? Real quick.
Listen,
He's gonna
real
say you're
quick.
gonna
Hold on.
burn too.
listen,
One second,
we're
please.
not in this discussion.
Okay.
I'm sorry. The answer is no. I
Fuck.
just want to get through. We don't have a lot of time. We have a lot of donations. We totally appreciate your donations to Alzheimer's Research, everybody. Brian G said, James apologized for offending G-Man. Thanks for that donation. Saxy Calzone, thanks for your donation. They said, did G-Man manage to get a smoke detector fixed? G-Man, you gotta have a sense of humor. Like, just chill. Like, it's like it's like some of these I agree like are mean, but like some of this is just playful. Like your smoke detector. Like, who cares? My smoke detector
Somebody
goes off.
told me they're gonna find me and kill me today.
You
There's
said
somebody
you
told me
blow
they're gonna delete all my
brains out
YouTube
today.
channel.
What?
I
don't
agree
have a
that's
sense of
wrong.
humor when it comes to the atheist community.
Okay, Mind Onion, thanks for your donation. He said research, or he or she said research in Alzheimer's might be needed to address some important things. Thanks for that super chat donation. And we are going to, with that, forgive me. I know that we have a lot of questions. I appreciate everybody asking those, but just for respecting this, the time of our debaters, and I've also got something due very late tonight. So just want to say thanks everybody for being here. The speakers, if you enjoy the speakers, they are linked in the description. So you can check out their channels, and I will also link their secondary. I know that I have each YouTube channel in there right now.
Yeah.
I will throw in additional social media for both speakers.
I'm on Twitch right now if you want to do that. Like, I'll be on after this. So.
You bet. And so want to say thanks so much, everybody, for your donations to Alzheimer's Research. I think we raised a lot of money, which is super encouraging. That honestly makes me feel really happy. So totally appreciate you guys being so supportive of the cause. And thanks so much for our speakers for being here. We appreciate you spending your time with us. It's been a total blast.
I agree.
And Old Man Dan, thanks for that final super chat. Just saw that fire in. And as I mentioned, let me know if you'd like to see the receipt for our donation. And with that, we want to ask you to keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Take care, everybody.